Another Toolbox deck tech brought to you by the Scroll. Last one was Mono Blue Combo Control. But this is Big Green Aggro. It's not tricked out either necessarily. There are some fancy cards. But I'll be doing my last showcase at the end of October for Halloween. And it will be Demons, so look forward to that. But for now, Big Green, Mono Green Aggro. So Wilson, he's pretty cost effective for what he gives you, and you kind of work with that. I stuck with Mono Green, so I just used the Raised by Giants background. Seems to be doing well enough, although white might give some additional benefit, but I wanted to stick with Mono Green, so I didn't want to kind of branch out necessarily if I didn't have to, and I feel like I don't. So we go into the ramp. Mana Dorks, Llanowar Elves, so some 1-mana Mana Dorks, Birds of Paradise, Elvish Mystic, Fyndhorn Elves, Fanatic of Ronus, better Mana Dork when you get Wilson Big. Some more non-dork 1-mana ramp, so Wild Growth. It's like a Mana Dork, but not necessarily. Utopia Sprawl. Kind of like a rock in a sense also, but not really either. But then we have Soul Ring, which is a rock, so we're going to throw Soul Ring in there. But we also have Sky Shroud Claim, 4 mana for 2 untapped, so it's not bad. There might be reason to play something else in that spot, but I think it's generally pretty good for the 2 untapped ones, and you're only needing forests out of this deck, so yeah. Traverse the Outlands, so I don't really remember the exact count, but you can check on Moxfield, but this gets the rest of your lands out when you've gotten Wilson big enough, so it's a good way of doing it. Then we're in card draw, so 1 mana, 6 cents, gives Wilson a card draw when he does damage, same with Keen Sense. 1 mana, Skull Clamp to capitalize on the dorks that you probably don't need after a certain while late game, so you can just fill your hand if necessary. Court of Garenbrig. Also some token counter synergy, I mean. But it is a way to hopefully you can defend the Monarch and keep drawing cards as well. So there's that. Hunter's Insight, more card draw for draw that many cards. So instead of like Keen Sense and 6 cents, you're getting an abundance of cards, hopefully, with Hunter's Insight if you need it. Snake Umbra, single card draw, but it also gives Totem Armor. Rishkar's Expertise, so some more card draw. And an MDFC, which there's 2 others, but this one is for card draw and some life gain. Then we have spot removal, so go with Kenrith's Transformation. It's pretty decent in green. Lignify, like I said, it's more spot removal. Collective Resistance can escalate it to get more, but it's for artifacts and enchantments mainly. But you might need it as in a pinch to give Wilson Hexproof and Indestructible. Beast Within, more removal. Song of the Dryad, I was talking about that. You need also land removal in case other people turn your creatures into lands. It's pretty necessary. And then some more artifact enchantment destruction. And then some utility lands for removal, Beseju, and Strip Mine, and Wasteland. Then instead of board wipes, green doesn't have a very good variety of those. Went with fog options to kind of pseudo board wipe, but also there's a couple of these back to back in here that you might have to run, that you might have to use to stay alive, since it's not an actual board wipe. So kind of, debate when it's necessary to use that. But fog, spore frog, obscuring haze, which can be free, haze of pollen, respite, blessed respite, druid's deliverance, moment's peace, all fog effects. And then we get into our additional protection for Wilson, some buffing or whatever else that's necessary, but generally at this point, some additional protection. So Commander's Plate, Swiftfoot Boots for hexproof, haste, Mirror Shield for hexproof, Anti-Death Touch, Mask of Avacyn, hexproof, Alpha Authority, hexproof, and kind of reduces the number of blockers that can block him. Champion's Helm, hexproof again, Mithril Coat, Indestructible, auto-equip. Hammer of Nazan, Indestructible, auto-equip also. And for other artifacts. Bear Umbra, so provides totem armor, but also is going to get the buff and untapping your lands. And then we go into utility and buffing effects. So it is Voltron, so but like lifelink, trample lifelink, and then also death touch if you get that is pretty effective. Can cut down army sizes pretty fast. Staff of Titania. It's better than Blanchwood Armor because it also is making you a token that is a land and a creature, so a blocker technically in some sense, or Skull Clamp material, so generally pretty good. Blackblade Reforge, still in my opinion better than Blanchwood Armor because you are not just counting your forest, even though this is a obviously heavy basic forest land distribution, but there are some other utility lands, so just to count them, and just it counts all the lands, so it's just kind of better in that sense. And Blanchwood Armor, if Wilson gets shut down for any reason, you lose it, but this sticks around, so that's the other benefit. Fire Shrieker, Double Strike, Strong Back, all the attachments, buff Wilson, make it easier to attach to him, so very good. Indomitable Might gives him a little bit of buff, and then also allows you to get through combat damage more easier. Unnatural Growth, doubling power and toughness, which we do later again. Prodigious Growth. Others are just general buff for a relatively decent amount of mana. One of the generally better ones besides Indomitable Might. So that's why I put it in there. Zorpindrol, that is the other power doubler, toughness doubler as well, and you can keep him around a little bit easier because you can make him indestructible, so that's pretty good. Drowsy Conscription, really heavy beatdown. That's a lot of damage. Flex Seal him. Eldrazi Flex Seal him. And then we get into our +1 counter stuff. So for whatever reason you don't get to keep Wilson and the counters that you had on him, this is kind of like a backup measure for that. So Ozolith, Adamantium Bonding Tank. Wolverine looking sick as shit. Power Fist, definitely major increase to the number of counters on Wilson, which is why we kind of go with Raised by Giants. So you can just get counters really fast. Bristly Bill, so maybe you get him early on, and those lands matter. And then if not, you still get the double of the 1/1 counter effect, so that's pretty good. Kind of some sense a better version of doubling season for me, at least. I think more manageable, reasonable, and an additional landfall benefit. Hydra's growth, getting the counter and doubling it on upkeep, so it's pretty good. Although it is just an aura that you can lose off of Wilson, so that is a downfall, but it's generally been pretty good. Forgotten Ancient, again, kind of synergistic with the Ozolith at least. Allows you to keep counters around and generate a lot of counters. And then Quilled Great Worm kind of does the same, kind of like a Power Fist, but as a creature. Vorinclex, that haste has been effective before, and he's kind of been a backup with the Death Touch attached to him also, so it really does make a difference, but he's mainly for getting you additional counters. And then we have our yard removal. We're coming to the end of it. So 4 yard removal pieces. And then our utility lands, life gain, getting the damage through, unblockable. You might need to sacrifice Wilson for some reason, so just an option for that. Getting back artifacts, and then the other 2 MDFCs that I run, and then the rest of the basics. So, yeah. And like I said, at the end of October, I will showcase demons, so Belcor. But I got some other stuff to do in the meantime, so catch you around.